Music can play an important role in our lives, and it can be an alternative to written and spoken language. This idea is explored in The Missing Note. Lost at Sea articulates the importance of language in our multicultural world.
When we decided to immigrate to the United States, the only thing I could say is, my name is Felix, and and I couldn't say anything more, I guess.
I would see these Persian moms speaking English or Farsi to their kids, and the kids would speak back in English.
But we wish we had made it a rule that we speak Farsi only at least in the house, so they pick up more of it.
We're really proud, and I think that's the case for everybody, whoever they come from. Here at home, we use it every day among ourselves, and we try to communicate with our kids, and just bilingually, I guess.
Let's meet the teacher and producer of The Missing Note and Lost at Sea, Jason Firestein.
Jason, welcome and congratulations on your Vic Award.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, one of your productions, The Missing Note, has no dialogue. It's a silent film.
Yeah.
Tell me the challenges of producing this kind of film.
With this one, the Missing Note, the kids were working on a language unit, and we were discussing the role of language in thought. And for this, they wanted to portray the idea that sometimes language can be non-linguistic in nature, and so that goes very much against the philosophies that they were learning during the unit. And so they composed their own musical score, and so we've got kids who demonstrate varying levels of academic ability. Unbeknownst to us, one of them, just a musical genius, composes this whole track, plays the piano by himself, and then layers it in with GarageBand to kind of combine it with other elements. And then before we know it, they had a full composition. So with this particular one, it was just a gift for him to be able to demonstrate his understanding at the same time, to really shine as a person in a way that he didn't ordinarily get to shine in the classroom.
How have you seen this become an opportunity, a showcase, to bring all of these different modalities into the fold and to really give students that room to grow and blossom in ways that maybe a single modality like just writing essays may not allow?
Right. As an English teacher, it's really easy to see who's listening, who's not, who's paying attention, who's got the idea when you sit down and read their papers. And for the last 10-ish years, that's kind of all that teachers traditionally, in a traditional model, that's all the teachers have to really understand who their kids are. This allows for constant surprise in the classroom. You never know all the different aspects of a kid's life. Teachers are usually centered so on their one individual class that there's no other thing in the world, and I think that's great. I think the math teacher should think that math is the most important thing, but to understand it's an hour of a kid's life and that's it is a very kind of humbling experience. So it's just a constant renewal of creative energy from the kid, because they bring things that you have no idea that they have to the table. It's not just about English. It's not just about philosophy or art history. It's different skills from other parts of their life, like music, that you would have no way of knowing a kid's involved in until you dish out a project like this that doesn't have a firm number assessment, where you can really authentically see what a kid understands.
I echo everything that you've said. Let me move on to another one of your Vic Award-winning entries, and that's Lost at Sea. So this documentary focuses on a bilingual household. Tell me a little bit about the effects of exploring this type of subject. This was a very sensitive one for a lot of the kids, and so it took a little more patience than some other film projects we've done. Again, this was during the same unit. We were focusing on the effects of language on thought in the 20th century, and the idea that different levels of English competency really do affect one's opportunities in life, how one's self-esteem, how one feels about one's parents, how they're comfortable in school, and their opportunities
that evolve from language. And so we followed 3 households with parents of different English abilities. And the kids came up with the idea of putting them all together under this kind of larger metaphor of a family dinner, that we're all going to have a family dinner to get something in common together. And some students were embarrassed by different levels of competency. Some were thrilled to show off the cultural implications of coming from a non-English speaking household. And so you really had to be a little sensitive about it, because it wasn't a matter of trying to show families for the purpose of exploiting them, either for a grade or for the film, but really to demonstrate honestly the effects that it has as a child, to say, when I go home, this is what my world is. Because it's again, it's so diverse. As a teacher, always humbling to see the experiences the kids have when they leave your door.
We've spoken earlier about just the uniqueness of having video production as part of a humanities magnet. If anybody watching here were thinking of incorporating video production into their non-video production classroom, whether it be a math teacher or a science teacher, what would you say that to really sell the idea that this is sort of a universal language that can be added on to any of the curricular areas, or what benefits would you be able to tout?
I think the biggest benefit to including any kind of visual media in a classroom is the variety of assessments that are available to the student, to give that student the opportunity to succeed, and to the teacher to give them the creative energy to find that own renewal in their projects and ideas where they didn't know there were any. And so we get very locked into the comfort of a routine, year in, year out, and it's not a matter of finding new things to teach, but new ways to access what you already do. And so to anyone thinking of doing it, absolutely, it will renew your practice.
Well, Jason, again, congratulations to you and your students, and thank you so much for supporting the Vic Awards.
Thank you very much.
Unrequited puppy love is nicely illustrated in the music video Lego House.
Don't hold me down. I think the braces are breaking, and it's more than I can take. And it's dark in the cold December, but I got you to give me room. If you're broken, I will mend you, and I keep you sheltered from the storm that's raging on. Now I'm out of touch, I'm out of luck. I'll pick you up when you get down. And out of all these things I've done, I think I love you better now. I'm out of sight, I'm out of mind. I'll do it all for you in time.
Little Kiddos Big Questions proves that kids will always say the darnest things.
Babies come from your stomach. Mommy's bellies. Stomachs. Bellies. They hatch from an egg. Oh, babies come from here. I don't know. The meaning of life is because it's like the life of like the earth, like the sky of the earth. Life is what Jesus thinks. Everybody's life is always going to be sometimes wrong. I think the meaning of life is about taking a little bit of risk. Na 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 na, come on, come on. I may be bad, but I'm perfectly good at it. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but whips and chains aside mine.
I love that. The students at Van Nuys High School are producing some videos that are just fun to watch, and they do this under the direction of their teacher, Tina Bronner.
Tina, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks a lot. It's great to be here.
So let's talk about your production, Little Kiddos Big Questions. How did you direct your students? What guidance did you give them as they approach that topic?
You know, thanks for asking that question, because there's an assignment that I give second semester of beginning students, and these were very astute but beginners. This was a beginning class, and I want them to take a quote or a poem short poem, very short poem, and use that as the basis of their creative force. And then from that point, they do, you know, shot lists or storyboards, or, you know, I don't like to, sometimes they're frightened of drawing, so storyboards, if they want to draw, fine, but I don't insist on that. They can make a shot list, you know, they could take stills on their iPhone. They have to communicate with me in somehow. And that one, they decided that they wanted to do a documentary and ask kids, and they started with a quote that appears at the end, and they did that. And I said, well, that's very ambitious, but I work with them on, because I usually don't use mics with the beginning students. Usually I go into that in my second year class. Yeah, but these kids were really, you know, they wanted to do it. So they had some extra training on the mics. They interviewed lots of kids. Documentaries have a very high shooting ratio. And I said, you know, you're going to have to shoot a lot to get what you want. And they did, and they found some kids, and the kids are they're very funny. It's one of my favorites. And when we showed it in the auditorium at the school, it got this amazing audience response. And when we had our big show this year, which we have the end of February, March, again, huge response, huge response. The editing, and I was so pleased that you recognize them for that skill, because, you know, editing, because that's the other thing about documentaries, editing for dialogue is very difficult, which is why I usually don't do that until second year, but these kids really want to do it, and they get great footage. And once I showed them some of the basics, I would check in. The first cut, as you could imagine, was about, I don't know, 18 minutes long. And then it gradually got shorter and shorter and shorter and reshaped.
Let me ask you about another Vic Award-winning production, Lego House. Again, one of the projects without dialogue, and your students were recognized for their performance. How do you prepare them as actors to convey these stories without dialogue?
Well, thank you for asking me about that one. Sherry, the student involved with Lego House, she won't be on a soundbite, but she came to me before winter break, this past winter break, and said, you know, I have an idea. Can I check out a camera over break? And I said, sure. And I said, my mother's got a MacBook Pro. I can edit on it, and I'm going to come back after break with something. And I said, great. She said, I want to do a music video, and I've got this idea about casting, and I said, go shoot it. So she left for the 3 weeks, and I think the family went to Big Bear with the other family. She shot some stuff here. She shot a lot of stuff. She shot that all on her own over break, which is why, you know, there's no other crew. She's the writer, the director, the editor. And I said, you know, well, your mom's computer's a laptop, you know, bring it in. I can still give you some feedback on that. But I loved the casting. I didn't know anything about the casting. And the casting was actually controversial in the class because the kids are in 7th and 8th grade, but they look a little bit younger. And so in the class, it was like, well, they're too young to be in a love story. I said, yes, but this is a very innocent love story. It's very sweet. And I think she did a great job directing them. Directing kids is very difficult, and I was really proud of her accomplishment.
And rightly so. That's a great project. You've been doing this for a while, so let me ask you, what have you found to be the most surprising benefit of introducing kids to video production and filmmaking that you still are very impressed by, or that you're still inspired by?
I think it changes them in terms of their self-confidence. Sherry was very shy when she first started. She was very interested in the camera. She had done a few things, but this was the first time she directed something all on her own. And I think it was great that she did that. And this was her 3rd year in my class. So she was ready to go, which to me says she's ready to go out into the world and do whatever she wants to do with this. And she does want to go into the film business. She's not sure if she wants to work in the US or Thailand, and she was actually looking at a film school in Thailand because she might want to work in the industry there. But I said, you know, learn some of the industry here. And I said, if you want to go to Thailand, this might be, you know, your English is perfect. You might have a great career as a liaison between, you know, I said, because we're a global industry. And I said, this might be a good niche for you, because the film business really is about what are your strengths, what is your background, what niche works for you. And for her, I think that could be a really, and I told her about Location Expo and that she should go meet the film people from Thailand and introduce herself, because that's the first thing, is a production assistant from, you know, with some experience. People get their start in all sorts of different ways, but she's going to do very well.
Great. Well, congratulations to your students, congratulations to you, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much. This was fun.